Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy, Dylan James, known as L. Ron Humperdinck, for Political Dank House. You have to bear with me. It's a little later in the morning. It's about 4:37 here. It took me a while to get around to it because first of all I had to write this, what I might wanted to say. Then I was in the bathroom, but I was waxing my tips. Don't get any ideas. It wasn't a funny business. I got to keep this war walrus out of my lips or I'll look like John Bolton. But anyways, I wanted to talk about this story. Everybody's talking about it. It seems old, but I think that the concept is more important than just the amount of days that's passed. I'm lazy. I don't want to have to figure out the screen thing. But you've seen the cartoon by the New York Times, which is a dumpster fire, as Trump said, and other people have said that. Here's Gerald Celente from Trends Forecast Journal. I like how he says that toilet paper records, and he's right. No one really cares. I would have never noticed this if it wasn't for internet or outrage culture. Have you ever thought about how many things you wouldn't see in certain papers, certain movies, certain things? I just wouldn't care. I wouldn't even have to worry about Brie Larson ruining comics that I don't even watch on behalf of everyone else with her toxic femininity if she wasn't plastered all over this modern tech that we have. So it's a blessing and a curse to be informed. But I digress. I just wanted to start out by asking, did you see that New York Times cartoon, the one I just showed you, that everyone's caring and not caring about? I want to ask the artist, why did you draw that? Okay, I'm done. And this is probably like the Yanny Laurel of the visuals, at least for now, because I'm seeing the same cartoon, but I'm coming to different interpretation of what we're both seeing, on whether that's good or bad. I find the cartoon accurate in the way that they were closely allied with Israel. We always have been, but now so more than ever under Trump, he's ingratiated and vice versa with Israel. And I'm not on the side that airs, hey, that's it's on too much. I'm on the side that says it's a little too much. How much we quote unquote get along with and are endowed with or entangled with Israel. But Trump foreignly intervened, as an example, he's given the Golan Heights in Syria to Israel. A place, Syria, that we should have already been out of. We were multiple times going to get out, but every time something would happen, some false flag would happen, I figured it would stop after McCain died. He could stop going over there and saying, hey, what's up? Taking selfies with al-Baghdadi and all them. And then magically, canister is exploded that's got tear gas. It's dropped like a bomb or even. And there's hammer smashes. There's smashes that if it dropped from a plane, it'd be in a billion pieces. It looks like someone's in a pothole in the road that didn't get fixed. And they said, let's just put it in there. But yeah, we're always roped into things every time Israel or anyone around that area that we think or is convinced that it's in our interest, we'll go over there. And that's why I think it's accurate. I'm going to say this a lot of times. I feel like it's accurate in a lot of senses, and I don't know why people are bitching. I work with papers and things like that and art. There's cartoons I see all the time that illustrate things I don't like, and I go, well, I get it. It's like the drawing equivalent of somebody saying something in jest. The only reason you're thinking it's different is, and people say, how could that get in, is because print lasts forever. But I mean, your words do. What you say can be remembered. So I don't see why people are trying to act like it's such a big deal. There's a lot of other things we could be worried about besides how someone looks or is portrayed in a cartoon. And by default, the way political cartoons are, you're caricaturizing people as animals and things all the time. We're just over there, just like I said, for our financial interests, like these poppy plants, for opium in Afghanistan, that we're using to fuel the opioid crisis that we're also supposed to be fighting under the same government. That has us over there. Sounds like a Hegelian dialect to me. Problem solution. Government's here to save the day. And the Syria power play over the energy dominance in Europe is really what that's about. If anything, if it had to do with military might and prowess in the area, annexed countries and, satellite is what I'm thinking of, satellite countries and nations and how it affects them. Russia is definitely going to have to be in it. compared to us. They got a better feel for the terrain. I look like I'm stammering because I saw my low battery. As an artist approaching it, the portrayal of the dog doesn't even bother me, and here's why. Dogs can be used positively to personify loyalty or, dare I say, doggedness in a person. So it's not a concern with someone being called a dog in any way, because you could say, oh, Trey Gowdy, he's roasting, someone in Congress, or on the spot. He's a bulldog, that Trey Gowdy. It's, and if I ever object to something like that, it's not because it's my person being portrayed in that light. It's because the allegation's untrue. So it's always been. Yes, there is nepotism in some of Trump's policies. Jared Kushner has been a thorn in the side to many of the President Trump's promises that I'd say, and that they're either pushing along slower or they should. He's helping to push them along slower than they should be, or putting them on the back burner completely. We're more focused on issues that I mentioned earlier in the Middle East than here at home, and I have a problem with that. That includes foreign entanglements with the Israelis as well, and what was wrong about the cartoon if it was portrayed in that way, or I received it in that way. Let me pause this. Be right back. Alright, I'm back, guys. You have to forgive me. I forgot that my charger wasn't here in my homeland because I was too busy focused on what was going to be good or bad for Israel. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing. But to get back to what we were on this cartoon here that everybody's saying is anti-Semitic. And I don't have to tell you what I was on. I'm going to crop these together. Let's talk about Trump's nepotism and how, Jared Kushner is probably my least favorite of anybody in the cabinet. And it's not just because he's family, it's because of the way he has influence, and in ways that I don't like, of course, so. It's like when I saw a cartoon of Trump one time. This is what it makes me think of, and his mouth was a big fat pink donut for lips. I mean, it was funny. He was like, ooh, portrayed as a doofus and a big mouth. But I wasn't mad that they made him look buffoonish. That's what they're gonna do. I always tell this in these videos and who I'm talking about here. You can't know how someone is or how they're gonna act, and then also be surprised and shocked. I can't believe Trump did this. It's can you imagine if people want to say the far right or whatever, even people that are critical of what's going on over there, or Israel or anybody, can you imagine them saying, reacting to the Golan Heights like, oh my God, I can't believe Trump did that. I did not see this coming. And then know how he was the most pro-Israeli president we've had ever, at least in my lifetime, because I'm 26. And he ran on that platform, so we can't be surprised, left-wingers or right-wingers. And I'm not. I'll tell you what I like or don't like about something, but I'm talking about the moral outrage culture. And that's for all the above-it-all nihilists who want to, they want to still dabble in that outrage culture. They want to act like, well, nothing really matters, man. You know how it's going to be. Nothing changes. And then go, I can't believe this happened. You can't have it both ways. I thought about it, if this culture were to see President Obama like that with the big lips, as I said, and not just calls people, damn liberals. I'd like to see how they react to it. I'm not thinking like that, because the culture has decided you do not characterize blacks with lips in any ways, any kind. In fact, I think they probably draw them smaller in a weird way, because it always goes, the opposite direction too much. And then it looks odd. It's like when those everything in Japan, they have all of these cartoons, Asian cartoons have the wide, sparkly, inviting eyes. It's like a compensation thing. Love it or hate it. But this in itself is exclusive to blacks. So everybody else gets made fun of in the lips. Hispanics, like I said, Asians, everybody. And the ones in public power that are black, especially, are the ones that are protected. They're not targeted. And I'm not saying, well, we need to live or die and die on the hill to be able to represent a black person in a what people would call racist or offensive way. No, I'm talking about criticizing them in any ways, because it's not going to stop. Everything, just like with the antisemitism, a lot of the stuff that cartoon represented to me was stuff that I've said or thought when it comes to our relationship with America and Israel. which, you know, you're allowed to change your opinion on. You're allowed to say, what are we really getting out of this at any given moment, like you would in any business relationship, or, you know, relationship with love, and especially with a country. It shields them from the criticism in a world where everything is racist, like I said. But it's saying everyone but blacks can be made fun of in this manner. So it's almost racism in the opposite direction, because now you're excluding blacks. You're doing what they would say men did to girls to keep them out of sports, right? Well, you'll get hurt. You're not going to be able to compete with the boys, this and that. So if they have a problem with that, why would they have a problem saying, you know, don't draw blacks like that? They might get mad. They might riot. I mean, what are they implying that they'll do? Because the only people I see flipping out are always these rich white liberals, or in this case, Jew-on-Jew violence with the New York Times, because apparently a Jew owns it. I don't know if someone drew it. Blacks are excluded from being physically big-mouthed to illustrate a politically big-mouthed person. Like with Trump. I get why they would do that. They think he's loudmouth, he's abrasive, he's outspoken. Of course, you know, it's like a megaphone, but without the megaphone. It's caricaturizing your mouth. But that is how it's interpreted when applied to Trump or anyone else, as the megaphone with the lips. You know, it's okay. We get the personification there. Or Trump, or anybody that's white for the most part, which is funny because Trump's supposed to be orange. Not sure if oranges can be white nationalists unless they're building Citrusville, you know. But then again, you're asking for consistency from the crowd where gender is fluid and non-binary and all this crazy shit. Maybe Israel can name it Citrusville or Tangerine Town. I thought I'd beat the media to it, except they're not going to cover things like this. So you won't even hear, you know, those sick burns that I just came up with for them. They're not even going to use my material. Because, you know, believe it or not, left wing and right wing like to shy away from things like this. Unless it's just surface level to, you know, dig at Trump or whoever it would be at the time. Because a great deal of these Congress members are dual citizenship with Israel and the United States. And to non-interventionists and American chauvinists, you know, America first, dual citizenship equals dual loyalty, at the least interpreted to where, you know, why wouldn't you be suspect of how they might have a soft spot for it. And a lot of these politicians are pro-abortion here and not in Israel. They're pro-5G here, they're not in Israel. Talk about Hillary Clinton having those two positions. I was not outraged, but I thought, man, wow, that's shady. And it's the same with the others. You can't pretend that it's not the same type of action. It's just over something different. I'm trying not to hit this table so the camera won't move. Like I just mentioned, Trump is pushing 5G that vibrates at frequencies known to destroy our strands of DNA and kill trees. And, you know, there's birds are dying around cell towers, and they have shorter radiuses. They're shorter in height, and they're shorter in their coverage of radius, which would mean they have to do more than even the normal ones we have now that would need to be erected for the coverage of an area. Israel does not have this technology, like I mentioned earlier, in their country, and despite providing and profiting from 5G technology. And it's, it goes with military and a lot of things like that, but especially 5G. Tell me how that cartoon isn't illustrating the blind Trump being led by a dog, who happens to be Netanyahu. And I don't know, I guess they're talking about anti-Semitic with the Star of David. To me, it's the Star of Remphan. It's six-pointed. It's not the Star of David, because in the story, David had a shield when he fought Goliath. I feel like that's some trick, personally. I guess they're talking about the big nose. I mean, because Jews, Arabs have big nose. A lot of people. I'm Greek. I mean, mine's defined. I don't know what type of big they're going for, but I've got a big nose. I'm Greek. I'm, in ancestry, I got Mediterranean. So, are they going to call something Greco or whatever? When somebody is gotten, maybe if Greece can ever get out of bankruptcy for the fourth or fifth time now because of the damn EU, maybe we could have someone prominent and running over there that we could figure it out if they ever drew him like this with a big nose. Would it be anti-Greco-ism or whatever? But that's all I could see from it. That would be anti-Semitic. And why would they choose a wiener dog? It seems like that a Dachshund or whatever. It seems like Dachshund would be German. Could be wrong. I'm sure there's some Jewish dog somewhere. I don't know the breeds. I'm not a dog person. But I guess the offensive thing, calling it anti-Semitic, would be putting the yarmulke. And the reactionary right and left are both. I've heard some of them call it a skull cap. I'm like, for some reason, what the hell does that mean? Because Trump's not truly Jewish. I don't know why that would bother them. Or I mean, I don't know why that wouldn't be the thing. I haven't heard anyone talk about that because Trump's not Jewish. I mean, he could be honorary Jewish by how good friends he is with Israel and Jews, but he's not personally Jewish, and the brothers and stuff are not for the most part. It's just Ivanka and Jared, from what I know. So maybe it's like he's not real Jew enough to be with the hat. It'd be like some people if he was put a cross on him. They'd say, well, he's not my type of Christian. But then again, a lot of times when they use the cross as symbolism to personify Christianity, with the hat, it doesn't really make sense. Like, he would have to be wearing that, but the only reason he would be wearing it is if he's like a Ben Shapiro or something. God forbid. So this family clearly has no problem with Jews. And as mentioned earlier, Jared Kushner is a Jew, of course. And Ivanka converted. Their children are Jewish. And they're in areas of power discussing our immigration policies, foreign affairs, and especially the socialite circles of the tech industry, which is the 5G, which is the censorship, your Googles, your Apple, your all this, right? And so I'm personally not a fan of theirs. I think they're soft and weak when it comes to things. All you got to do is show Ivanka a crying child that's crying over something completely different, and she'll say, "Dad, let's go, bomb the gas fields in Syria or whatever." Or man, it sucks down there in Venezuela. We gotta get in there. We all know they do stuff like that, and they're suckers for things like that, and they're suckers for notoriety and wanting to fit in and be cool and invited to the parties. I could cut the dead weight when it comes to Ivanka and Jared. They're too soft on the policies. They want to be socially and culturally accepted, and I could care less. It really doesn't fit with the Trump. Whether you think he's serious or not, he's obviously not as culturally accepted as he was. He's drawn a line when he came out in 2015, and he's sacrificing for it. Whether he's like, okay, fuck it or not, Ivanka and Jared are not down to clown. They're just clowns, apparently. And Trump portrayed as the blind owner being led by a pet. Since we don't want to say dog, I'll say pet. But it's weird because it's accurate. But what's weird about the pet, like a dog, that's supposed to be America's pet. That's supposed to be man's best friend, right? Everybody's all the time jerking at the dogs over here. And as far as the reactionary right-wingers are kvetching over the man's best friend comparison, Trump, by default of being president of America, is in the USA, and Bibi Netanyahu is the dog of Israel, aka man's best friend. You always say that USA and Israel were like this, we're best allies. These reactionary rights that I'm punching right on, they're always saying that we're like this. Wouldn't a dog and their owner? I mean, I guess they're complaining about who owns who, and then that gets into real anti-Semitic territory because who actually has the most power over which one, who does more for the other, right? But before the greatest allies by their own definition, wouldn't it be man's best friend? As in this man's best friend? See what I mean? They're not looking at it as an artist. They're looking at it like a bunch of pussies. And it's the right trying to get their good boy points too. The left does it a lot more, but the right does it real hard when they want to. And it's for the dumbest things. It makes us look like we need Ilhan Omar's help to criticize certain things that go on with our foreign policy. I can't stand it. She'll say something that everybody knows, like me. Well, something about Israel really, really does have an interest in what we do over there, and they influence, and they have a lot of, oh my God, no, not the anti-Semitism of Ilhan Omar, oh my God. And I go, she's saying something that's true. Don't give her credit or notoriety for something that everybody knows. All she did was speak it. You're going to make her think that she brought it to the forefront. Like, give her confidence in God. She doesn't need any more. It's like a swaddled child in those towels, and you can cry all you want, but she's not a strong, powerful woman. But My opinion on the relationship, I'm not telling you. I'm showing you how stupid it is. I'm not telling you how I personally feel about Israel and the U.S. I mean, I kind of am, but as far as pertaining to the cartoon, like, oh, that shouldn't be said. That needs to be taken off the shelves right now. Hashtag never again. Never again, New York Times. I'm showing you how stupid it is when you look at it from the art lens, not this side or that side. Like with the Kathy Griffin, everybody got mad. I mean, rightfully so, because it was, a fucked up beheading thing. But my thing was that, well, she went out on a limb like a retard and did it. That's the point. So she went through all that shit with the FBI and all that, right? Rightfully so, fine. But, people are flipping out over shit like this, like less than they did that, as far as, lefties and everybody all in accordance. Even the Hollywood, socialites. The only problem is that they appear to be of negative opinion to, like I said, these reactionary right wingers, and because we all know the left does this, but I want to get on my own people because I want to strengthen and weed out the weaks. But it just happens to be an opposite opinion. They both portray the same thing. The right will cheer, yeah, Trump's doing this. Trump's giving the Golan Heights of Syria to Israel. Oh, Trump is 5G, and oh, Trump is this and that, and we support Bibi Netanyahu, and we're like that, and AIPAC and UN and all that. These speeches. So they're really our best friend, man's best friend, like that. You're mad because it's almost like someone's mad that people notice it, but they're just not for what you're seeing. They're seeing the same thing and thinking it's bad instead of good. And I don't think people can. If you can't handle that, it's just, I don't know what the hell. From what I've heard, though, the New York Times is owned, like I said, by rich liberal Jews, or at least they have a lot of power in that outlet. So Jews are calling on Jews to apologize for drawing. Apparently, the Jews are infighting harder than the right and the left-wing parties combined. This is like McCain vetoing to repeal Obamacare, or calling Rand Paul a Russian agent and working for Putin because he didn't believe in the Russia shit, or Mitt Romney thinking he can run for president, or Nancy Pelosi telling AOC, hey, you better rein it in. Don't be an idiot. We're seasoned criminals. We've got this thing figured out. Don't be revolutionary on our ass and burn down what we figured out. It's like all that. Infighting, but in Jew form. And I usually don't see it. To sum up the ramblings of a Gentile Christian like me, I'm going to say that the more than cozy relationship we have with Israel, like it or not, is real, whether you think that's good or bad. It's portrayed accurately in this cartoon in many ways. It doesn't have to be always, and you don't even have to agree with it. But a lot of things that made me think in this, or symbolism made me think, Israel leading us around and saying, can you help us annex this part of Syria? Can you help us clear out this? We've pissed off somebody else in our vicinity. We've done this, we've done that. And it's almost like to the point of being used, whether they're using us or we feel like we're being used. And all that's up for discussion. I don't give a damn about the New York Times, but I do the message of the cartoon. And in fact, the New York Times can eat shit for trying to tell us all what we can already notice if you're following politics for more than just Russiagate and Maxine Waters trying to belt impeach 45 before a wig falls off. That wig she stole from James Brown. She actually has insurance on it, paid for by her constituents in the district that she represents from her home outside of her residence. And things like this that it seems like I'm on a tangent on. See all this stuff that we could be talking about between left versus right and whatever you want to call it. But we can't discuss the true nature of some of these points or of things in life because, that might be racist against Maxine Waters. And just like we can't discuss some of the points in the nature of this cartoon because we're arguing with numbskulls like Waters. Just an example of one low IQ fop. Like we have all these others that can't see more than two-dimensional of this is an attack on whatever. This is an attack on whatever. And people say, well, if there was a Christian cartoon, I've seen them. There's people that all the time. And it doesn't have to just be a cartoon. I've mentioned it earlier. There's Piss Christ. There's a lot of other things that people do. putting Jesus on the cross upside down and stuff for for the edge and stuff. Whatever. My point is just saying that of all the things to flip out on a cartoon, and it's just really weird. It's like telling somebody you might have a problem with alcohol, and they go, "No, not me." No, and they overreact. If the right wants to look like they don't have this like tight as tits relationship with Israel, that they don't want the left to use this against them, then do a better job of not being so defensive whenever somebody calls you out or criticizes you. And it's a damn cartoon. It's not like somebody has Bibi Netanyahu's head beheaded, or Trump, or this is a steaming pile of shit with a Netanyahu head, or a wiener with a Trump head, a walking dick or whatever. But you guys let me know what you think. I could think completely opposite of you. I'd like to hear it out. Follow me at Twitter at DJLINEBARRIER. And I think we're on there at POLITICAL_DANQ. They cut us off. Political dank. Couldn't fit all of it in there, if you know what I mean. We're on Instagram at political_dankhouse with a Q, DANQHOUSE. And of course, we're on here on YouTube. Share it. Do whatever you want to do. Spark up a conversation. Let me know how you feel. As always, you guys go out there and you hop to it.